What is up, Waffle Gang? My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/am I the butthole? Of course we are. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it really does help out our channel. And yesterday, we did have a new member. We had Audra Varela. Thank you so much for your support to the channel. It really does mean the world. And if you would like to support the channel, you can by clicking that join button down below or heading on over to Patreon, link in the description, and joining up there. Thank you so much for the time out of your day to be here and get involved with the channel. It really does mean the world to me. And with that being said, breathe, Mark. Let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling the police after my brother told me to go pick his son up from the supermarket parking lot? My male 33 brother, male 37, has a 12-year-old son, my nephew. Ever since my brother started dating again, he's been dropping my nephew at my place to stay for days. I didn't have a problem with that, but I had work, and my living situation didn't allow me to watch kids. Everyone in the family doesn't help, and my brother uses this as an excuse to dump my nephew on me and go out for dinners, parties and holidays. I was getting tired of his one last favour I promised nonsense. I tried to find a solution. I yelled at him, I blocked him, I called him a bad father, but he just doesn't care. And with his girlfriend in the picture, the issue got bigger, obviously. I found myself feeding, cleaning and helping with homework, taking to school. I felt like I was my nephew's dad. I was only doing it for my poor nephew, but I decided enough was enough. My brother begged me to watch my nephew for 2 weeks so he and girlfriend can go to a winter resort to snowboard and ice skate and enjoy the mountains and the fresh air. I said no, I have plenty of work and I can't take my nephew in. My brother insisted for days and kept begging. Again, saying no one wants to help or take responsibility. I decided to ignore his calls and hope he'll stop. Yesterday, I grabbed some coffee and went to work immediately because I was late and I already had a long day ahead of me. I got a text from my brother telling me he and his girlfriend just left for their vacation and that he dropped my nephew at X supermarket and I should go pick him up and take him home with me. I was absolutely stunned. I kept reading the text over and over. I was so damn angry, he started calling. I decided to text him no and wait, hoping he'll realise that this was a bad idea and turn around and pick his son up. Or have another family member pick him up. But 15 minutes later, a massive amount of missed calls and texts from family calling me names, telling me it's my fault my nephew is waiting at the supermarket parking lot and demanded I go pick him up and take him to my house. I lost it. I called the police anonymously and reported that there was a kid left in the parking lot. Next thing I knew, the police took my nephew. My brother came back and cancelled the trip and was being questioned along with his girlfriend. My mum and the family are livid, saying it was my fault and I should have picked my nephew up. Now I caused my brother trouble, claiming my brother already took my word and thought I agreed to take my nephew, but I showed them the text that he deleted, which made my brother more guilty. My family call me an arsehole when they wouldn't take my nephew in, but expect me to do that after helping for so long. To add info, my nephew's mother is deceased. My brother had a girlfriend who was very generous and kind person, but she left in 2020. Now he's with his current girlfriend, who in my opinion is a toxic person and irresponsible. Man, these stories get me so much. Again, it's when children are involved. It brings me to absolute tears just thinking about what they may be going through in that situation, knowing that they've just been dropped off in a parking lot while their parents, well, their dad, is going off on holiday. And I think, what would be going through their head in that moment of abandonment, basically? It's just absolutely crazy. And I feel so sorry for them. And I think you did the absolutely right thing in that situation to call the police, because this is just an amazing amount of arsehole behavior from the dad in this situation, the girlfriend as well. Why would she think this is the right thing to do? They're a pair of arseholes in themselves, and then your whole family for not backing you and just saying like the brother is right in this situation. You're not the arsehole in this situation, in my opinion. But Griffin Raw says, not the arsehole. You helped when you could. You couldn't, your brother decided to call your bluff and abandon his child because he just had to take a 2-week holiday with his new girlfriend, who is also a massive arsehole for letting this happen. Just because your brother doesn't want to be a dad doesn't mean you have to step up for him time and again. You did the right thing, that kid needs a solid home life. And she Stanley says block all family members blaming you. They're unreasonable and your brother is beyond irresponsible. He deserves to have his kid removed permanently. The untold emotional damage he's doing due to the frequent abandonments must be enormous. I feel terribly for the 12-year-old. As for you, you absolutely did the right thing, and hopefully this poses a huge wake-up call to your brother. Not the arsehole. An Impossible Bop says not the arsehole. Wow, he's a terrible, absolutely unfit parent, and it's frankly shocking anyone would take his side and have a problem with you at all. He's abandoned his kid. That is absolutely more than worth calling the police for. The consequences are entirely his own fault, and with the family blaming you instead, it's not hard to see why he turned out so badly. I hope he loses all custody. If that happens, you did the kid a favour. That kid deserves a real parent. And Solly says, not the arsehole, and good for you for having the balls to do the right thing by calling the police. So many people are just pushovers and thus enable selfish people like your brother. By the way, your brother is a huge manipulator. Make sure his girlfriend sees your text saying that you wouldn't take the 12-year-old. She knows what a big liar her boyfriend is. Hopefully she leaves him. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Do you think OP was right to call the police in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for blowing up when I found my husband recorded my therapy session? My 26 female mum passed away in December. It was hard for me to process what happened. I have to say, me and mum had a lot of issues between us. There's so much I couldn't say to her, and I'm struggling with grief. My dad is deceased, my mum was my remaining parent, and growing up I had many issues with her. I went no contact with her several times, then I reconnected with her. Then we're getting into an argument again, and then the same thing happened. I feel bad for not trying enough to fix the situation. I keep getting shamed by family members asking if I'm happy now that my mum is gone, but how can someone be happy when their mother passes away? I'm a mess, plus I'm 5 months pregnant after 2 miscarriages and it's been difficult. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. It's online therapy. I go into the bedroom and I have my session with my therapist. I asked my husband to not come into the room or interrupt after he insisted he wanted to be in the room but wasn't allowed. He then started coming in several times, just barging in, bringing me coffee or water, but I know it's a way for him to hear something. I got annoyed. I told him he was causing me so much stress and he stopped coming into the room. 2 days later, my husband stopped asking me questions all of a sudden, stopped insisting on being in the room, stopped interrupting my sessions. I thought he finally got it. But yesterday, I was doing some cleaning. I heard my own voice coming from the bedroom. I was puzzled. I walked into the bedroom and found my husband with his phone on his ear listening to my voice. I then realised that he recorded my voice during my therapy session and he was playing the recording. I asked him, he said it was nothing, then he admitted he was recording my therapy session. I lost it. I blew up and I started yelling at him. He told me to calm down, it was no big deal, and he was just curious to know and also wanted to figure out what my problem is and maybe help out. I told him it wasn't his place, and just because we're married doesn't mean he can disrespect me and be inconsiderate of my feelings. This is a very important thing to me, and he kept saying, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it. I was infuriated. There were things between my mum and I that I find hard to talk about, and I found what he did was disrespectful. I walked out and he kept saying I overreacted and that he's not a stranger, he's my husband. I went to stay with my sister, who said I was harsh on him and shouldn't have reacted this way. He apologised and said he already deleted it, even said I can take a few days to stay with my sister to calm down after he saw how much I was mad. I should mention that he mentioned several times that he was worried about me because I haven't been talking to him much, and I understand he was worried, but that is not an excuse. Information, I'm sorry I forgot to mention my husband's age, he's 31. Now trying to put myself in that person's shoes and saying to like my partner that I don't want you to be listening in on my therapy sessions and things like that, and then they went ahead and recorded those sessions. That is like a massive breach of trust right there, and it's something that personally I'm not sure if I could forgive because it just seems like a huge overstep to go down that path, you know. But that's just me. I'm not sure if I could forgive that kind of behavior, but it is very, very concerning that they are trying to record. Are they really doing it for to try and help you in this situation? Not that it matters anyway, because it's a breach of trust regardless. But are they trying to do it to help you, or are they just trying to be controlling and know what's going on? I don't know, but personally I couldn't forgive that kind of behavior myself. But it's Ollie Boy says, not the arsehole, red flags here, there and everywhere. And Flirtat says, not the arsehole, your husband is a massive arsehole though. What got to me was when he kept repeating, I'm sorry but I just couldn't help it. A version of those words was said to me by my ex-husband. When I finally had enough of his emotionally abusive behaviour, I told him I wanted a divorce. He countered it in a bid to change my mind / apologise. I knew I was being mean to you, I just couldn't help myself. At that moment, it felt like the world stopped, became dead silent, and I could hear a record screech. I looked into my ex's eyes and realised very chillingly that I had no idea who the hell I married. The fact they had no issue whatsoever in being cruel to me and justifying it, that he just couldn't help himself, scared the living crap out of me. I understood very clearly that this man was a danger to me and I needed to get gone. It's been 10 years and to this day I will never forget what he said, because at that moment he revealed exactly who he was. Your husband is the same way, OP. He has just shown you exactly who he is. He has no respect for you. His claim that he wants to help you is a lie. He wants to know what makes you tick so he can use that information to manipulate you in the future. A true partner does not disregard the other's boundaries, does not surreptitiously record a private conversation, and most importantly, he wasn't planning on being caught. This man has given you a clear picture of what the future holds should you stay. It took me 13 years to leave my ex. Please don't waste your life looking over your shoulder at what the next thing your husband will do. And Be More Sky and Sea says, oh hell no. Let's see here. Ignored your boundaries when you asked him for privacy. Continue to ignore your boundaries when you reiterated. Only stopped interrupting or trying to listen when he secretly recorded your private session with your therapist. Still hasn't apologised, and he is 1, telling you to calm down, 2, saying that you overreacted, and 3, present himself as the good guy because he's trying to help. OP, schedule a session with a therapist immediately and talk over how you're going to establish boundaries if you choose to remain in this marriage. This is a huge violation. Your sister is also an arsehole for questioning your reaction. He raped your innermost thoughts and he ignored your no's and pushed ahead without consent for emotions that you did not willingly give him. You are not the arsehole, and I hope you can find a safe space to gather your emotions, talk to your therapist and determine your next steps. Unless your husband does a 180 and recognises that he's 100% in the wrong here and does a lot fixing himself, you should get out now. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and what would you do in it? Would you stay with the partner or would you not? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Right Ad. Am I the arsehole for naming my son after my ex? Let me explain. When I, female 27, was 15, I was dating this guy, male 16. I was in love with him and he was in love with me. We were dating for a year. He would always tell me how much his parents were toxic and how much he would marry me and we would move away together with his younger siblings. Fast forward a year later, he died in a car crash. I was extremely devastated. I came from a society where dating is looked down upon, so I couldn't tell my family about him. However, they realised something was wrong with me. I couldn't eat, I barely slept. At 18, my parents told me I'm getting married to this guy, male 19. It was an arranged marriage, but it wasn't forced. He is sweet. I didn't love him, but I didn't really mind him. Our marriage isn't terrible or bad, but there isn't any love in it. It is more of a friendship. Anyways, we have 4 kids together, 3 boys and a girl. I named my youngest child, male 3, after my ex. When my husband found out, he was mad at mainly 2 things. Number 1, that I dated someone. Number 2, that I named my son after him. He named our first 3 kids, so when he found out about our youngest, he said, I should have listened to my mother and not married you, and I shouldn't have let you name him. Now he won't talk to me. And page 88 throwaway says, in quotes, it was an arranged marriage but wasn't forced. He is sweet. I didn't love him, but I didn't really mind him. Our marriage isn't terrible or bad, but there isn't any love in it. And then says, apparently there isn't any respect in your marriage either, or you wouldn't have done this behind his back. You said yourself this marriage wasn't forced and he's sweet. That child is just as much as his as it is yours. You chose to marry him. I understand you loved your ex, but for fuck's sake, name a pet after him, not your kid. You're the arsehole. And Traumatized Trashbag says, everyone sucks here, each and every one. I don't know. Don't name children after you dated before unless you got there okay. He sucks for what he said, but I can almost give him a pass. Whoever arranged their marriage also sucks. Arranged marriages suck. Everything sucks. An Impressive Big says, not the arsehole. I can see why you didn't tell him about the boy you dated, given his reaction. It doesn't sound like you were dating in the Western sense that 16-year-olds would date. It sounds more like a close friendship, but I guess in your culture, even that would be frowned upon. I can see why he's hurt that you didn't explain the name choice, but he named 3 kids and only you got to name this one, after someone you cared about. Him saying, I shouldn't have let you name him. Wow, yikes. Let you name your own son. I hope he calms down and realizes that this is such a small thing to be angry about. If marriage is more like a friendship, he doesn't sound very friendly. A Balonka says, you're the arsehole. What a horrible way to abuse your husband's trust in you. You said he was sweet and kind to you. Better than you expected in an arranged marriage, but you decided to name your son after the man you had truly loved and think that is okay. You can say goodbye to the friendship level of the marriage, if not the marriage at total. And Enter says, not the arsehole, you're from a culture that I don't have any experience with. I absolutely understand why you named your son after him. You're in such an incredibly difficult spot. At this point, the best you can do is likely hope that everything calms down and you and your husband can at least be on good terms of some kind. And Woodland of Weir says, no one's an arsehole here. I'm sorry for both you and your husband. You both had your hands forced by society and you both tried to deal with this and make the best of it somehow. You wanted to honour your ex, who you were not even allowed to acknowledge openly. Your husband definitely didn't want a child that was named after an ex he didn't even know you had. Both your wishes and grievances here are valid. I'm sorry you're stuck in a situation. If you have any possibility to do so where you are from, may I suggest counselling, either for you both of you as a couple or for you alone, so that you at least get one non-judgmental person to process your grief with. Good luck to you, and I wish you all the best. Now, what a mixed bag of reactions on that one. I haven't seen one that mixed in quite a long time. But what do you guys think of the situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from, am I the arsehole, Big Bud? Am I the arsehole for going off on a mother in the toy store? I'm 28 male, my brother's caretaker, 21 male, mental age 7 to 8. Our parents decided at 18 to tell us to screw off, so when my brother, let's call him Bill, turned 18, I grabbed him and enrolled to get his GED since he didn't finish high school, and take care of him. His chores are to clean his room, help with laundry, and to set the table for supper. I get paid by the state and you better believe I make sure his needs are met. He's my little bud. At the end of the month for each day, he does his chores and he gets a sticker. At the end of the month, that sticker gets counted as $5 and he uses the money for whatever he wants, like toys, special snacks, etc. He loves this. He's been so good lately with chores, I took him out for burgers and fries and took him to the toy store. My brother is big, not fat, just tall and actually big boned. He's a healthy weight and overall health. He gets excited and stims by flapping his hands. You do you, little dude. At the toy store, he announced he wants Barbies. Cool, no judgment, and we go to look at Barbies. He's stimming and rambling about what he wanted, and meanwhile a lady and a little girl come into the aisle. Not even 2 minutes pass and the lady tells us to go to another aisle. She wants to look at the dolls and his weird hand movements are freaking her out. I tell her to wait her turn. Not even another minute passes and she tells my brother to knock it off and go and look at something else. Now I'm pissed. I tell my brother to get what he wants and looked at her and told her her daughter could use a better role model. I'd hate for her to turn into such a grouchy hag. Took my brother out to pay for his Barbies, all while ignoring her, telling me how much of an arsehole I am for saying that in front of her daughter. Am I the arsehole? Now this is definitely obviously going to be a not the arsehole situation. I mean, you could be incredibly harsh if you wanted to and go down, did you have to say hag? But, you know, sometimes you need to be an arsehole to get the point across. But Swift Arrow says, soft, everyone sucks here except your brother and her daughter. She's trying to be protective of her daughter. She sees a couple of grown dudes in the girls' toy aisle and one of them is built large and behaving odd. She probably felt threatened. Here's where you were the arsehole. Instead of helping her feel less threatened by your brother, explained he's developmentally challenged, or just explain he's special but there's no threat, you attacked her as a parent in front of her daughter. She was slightly the arsehole for thinking she can tell you to go to another aisle, but your attack of her character in front of her child was the arsehole move. Sorry bro, I'm glad that you're so good to your brother and I'm glad he has you. Next time, try to build empathy and understanding before attacking someone's character. And Cinder Loopy Watson says, not the arsehole at all. I work with kids as a nanny. We once came across someone similar to your bro, about 6 foot, 200 pounds and stimming in excitement because McDonald's had new toys. My nanny kid was scared, but I just knelt down and explained. He then got upset because he didn't get the toy he wanted and the workers didn't have any more. My nanny kid opened a Happy Meal and her toy was the one he wanted. She walked over and traded with him. I was so proud. She was 3.5. If a 3.5-year-old can get it, so can a grown woman. And Purple Head Hussy says, not the arsehole. There were so many better ways this woman could have handled the situation. She could have waited at a distance or taken her child to another part of the store. She could have used this as a teaching moment or even struck up conversation about which Barbies your brother likes and why. Instead, she chose to treat your brother as less than. That kind of behaviour is never okay. You might in the future try not to use gendered terms when expressing your ire. Did I pronounce that right? If only so that your brother doesn't pick up on them. Sometimes public censor is not required, but I think it might have been warranted on this occasion. And BeckDog19 says, not the arsehole. If she was so freaked out, she could have found a different aisle. She's raising her child to consider people with disabilities as scary or abnormal, and that's just shitty parenting. Unless your brother was saying or doing something inappropriate, she has no right to ask them to leave. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Once again guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here, spending a bit of time with the channel and being involved. It really does mean the world to me, so thank you so much. And hopefully, if you enjoyed, of course, I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.